So it's with great honor and humility, I accept this nomination for President of the United States of America.
Presidential candidate Joe Biden's speech to fellow Democrats and those watching from home touched on hope and history. Details from the final day of the Democratic National Convention. Plus, a man accused of killing John Michael Kreitz appeared in Washington courtroom. We'll have the latest on the case. And later, there's no place like home. A little girl struck by a bus is taking big steps on her road to recovery.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thank you for joining us this Thursday night. I'm Keely Van Mittendorp. MTN's Tim McGonigal has the night off. Beginning tonight with an eye to the sky, severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect for parts of our state. Here's Curtis Grevenitz.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's been a wild day of weather here across the state. Severe thunderstorms and, of course, a lot of smoke out there. You can see the storms, severe storms in the last hour pushing through the Glasgow area. This line of storms was the line of storms that originated along the Rocky Mountain fronts was severe there with large hail, severe through the Great Falls area. We had a severe thunderstorm just northeast of Helena. You can see some of the real nasty weather out there in parts of Choteau County and Judith Basin County into Fergus County. Now the air quality is improving somewhat up along the High Line and in the northwestern part of the state. However, some locations like Dillon and West Yellowstone, it is just downright unhealthy to be outside for any period of time. Bump into the night, the thunderstorms still bumping the next couple of hours, but then diminishing. Smoke, we'll talk about how much the smoke will disperse. And greetings, Genevieve. Have you met yet? You will in the full forecast. That's coming up.
Well, Joe Biden officially became his party's leader and its 2020 candidate for president tonight. The former vice president took the stage at the Chase Center in Delaware, where he struck a positive tone under the theme America's Promise. He promised to work for all Americans regardless of party choice come November.
But while I'll be a Democratic candidate, I will be an American president. I'll work hard for those who didn't support me, as hard for them as I did for those who did vote for me. That's the job of a president, to represent all of us, not just our base or our party. This is not a partisan moment. This must be an American moment.
And the Biden family bond was also on full display tonight, with Hunter and Ashley Biden introducing their dad and a tribute to Biden's son, Beau, who died from brain cancer 5 years ago. Some gathered in cars outside of the Chase Center. Unity continued to be a theme for the Democrats as several former 2020 candidates stated their case for the Biden-Harris ticket. Powerful images of social justice also marked the final night, culminating in a powerful tribute to one of the party's giants, that being the late Congressman John Lewis. Now, the Republican National Convention has added more speakers to its list for next week, including former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley and Senators Tim Scott and Joni Ernst. And here at home, Republican gubernatorial candidate Greg Gianforte has put another $1 million of his own money into his campaign, but his Democratic opponent Mike Cooney took in more money from donors in the past 2 months. Gianforte has now sunk $2.5 million of his personal wealth into his campaign for governor, but the Bozeman businessman has also raised about the same amount from donors since he began his campaign in June of 2019. He's also spent more than $5 million on the campaign so far, and as of this week had about $330,000 left in his campaign account. Cooney, the state's lieutenant governor, reported raising $725,000 in the past 2 months compared to Gianforte's $580,000 from donors in that period. Cooney also has twice the money of Gianforte remaining in his account, about $690,000. The two men are vying to become the state's next governor to succeed Democrat Steve Bullock. Libertarian Lyman Bishop of Kalispell also is in that race. And in more news around the nation tonight, the number of jobless claims has gone up. More than 1 million people filed for unemployment for the first time last week, according to the Labor Department. That's an increase of 135,000 from the previous week. This is far more from what economists had predicted. They believe the latest numbers show that recovery in the labor market is stalling. Now, here in Montana, the latest data shows just over 2,000 people filed for new new claims the week ending August 8th. We also know the week ending this past Sunday, the state added 1,800 new jobs to the state site, montanaworks.gov. Cascade County currently has 580 jobs listed on that site. Toole County has 91, Hill County at 175, and Lewis and Clark with 813. The most job postings are for retail sales, cashiers, and supervisors and managers of retail sales workers. Let's get you a look at today's latest COVID-19 numbers across the state now. Wednesday was one of those most deadly days since the state began keeping track of coronavirus cases. 2 deaths in Bighorn and Yellowstone County and 1 in Rosebud County have pushed the state total to 89 today. The state reported 117 new cases yesterday and has now surpassed the 6,000 mark. Moving now to court news, Leon Michael Ford made his first court appearance in Washington state this afternoon on charges of deliberate homicide and tampering with evidence in the long unsolved death of John Mike Kreitz. Court documents filed in Lewis and Clark County describe the investigation that led to the arrest Wednesday. Kreitz went missing in June of 2011. His dismembered remains were discovered in plastic bags near McDonald Pass in October 2011, and his skull was found several miles away in September 2012. An autopsy showed he died from gunshot wounds to the head. Court documents say Kreitz lived on a property down the road from Ford. They say there had been years of disputes between the two over land access after property was gated off. Investigators said a neighbor's game camera showed Ford traveled toward Kreitz's property around the time of his last phone call. The neighbor later found Kreitz was missing and the gate had been cut open. Now, the camera footage contradicted Ford's statements that he had been spraying weeds along the road in the days after Kreitz disappeared. Investigators also found cable ties along with Kreitz's remains. They say that the ties were identified as an unusual type that had to be specially ordered. Documents say Ford had some of those ties that were from the military base where he worked in Washington. Now, John Mike Kreitz's family says the news of an arrest came as a great relief. His sister, Connie Kreitz, told MTN that she jumped up and down in excitement after getting a call from the sheriff's office yesterday. She then drove 3 hours to give the news to their mother in person. Connie Kreitz said while the long wait was difficult for the family, they never lost hope that a breakthrough would come. She said she knows the legal process could still take a long time to resolve, and she won't feel closure until then.
This is the beginning of yet another roller coaster, but I would rather go on this roller coaster than not. This begins anew the pursuit for justice. It's just a new chapter.
And Connie Kreitz is the representative of Kreitz Estate, which is still involved in legal actions.
A new lease on an old building. I'm Tim McGonigal in Great Falls, and I'll tell you how the recently retired Roosevelt School is playing an important role during some trying academic times.
Join me every Monday at 5:30 and 10 for Game Changers. We'll break down the top 5 performances of the week.
Game Changers is sponsored by Mitchell's Crash Repair. Crashes are unexpected, but when it happens to you, you can expect the best service from Mitchell's Crash Repair.
Keeping my family healthy. We stay active, we eat right, and we're lucky enough to have excellent health care here in Great Falls.
At Benefis Health System, we offer comprehensive care and reassuring support every step of the way and for every generation. We care for this community because we're a part of it, just like you. A tradition of advanced care. Learn more at benefis.org.
In Montana, our rivers and streams belong to the public. So when wealthy landowners tried to block access for fishing, Steve Bullock led the fight to protect our public access rights. Bullock took on his own party to defend our Second Amendment rights and fought back every effort to transfer our public lands.
And you know what's great? Every one of us own these public lands.
Because that's what's right for Montana.
I'm Steve Bullock, and I approve this message.
It's just dangerous. Mike Cooney voted for higher taxes on nursing homes, for higher taxes on hospitals. And Mike Cooney tried to create a massive Montana sales tax. A sales tax could have taken nearly $1,400 out of your pocket a year. The times are tough, and liberal Mike Cooney is just wrong on taxes. RGA Right Direction PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Hey,
Payless Furniture and Mattress is the chosen site to liquidate manufacturer overstocks. Overstocked sofas, overstocked recliners, overstocked sectionals, overstocked mattresses. Save on manufacturer's overstocks now. Don't wait for your furniture. It's in stock and ready to haul away or have it delivered. We're the chosen site for the manufacturer's overstock sale. Only at Payless Furniture and Mattress, Central Avenue West, Great Falls.
Public lands are part of our way of life in Montana. That's why I'm supporting Senator Daines. Senator Daines has been a real champion for conservation issues in Montana. Like all Montanans, he values access to public lands. His willingness to reach across the aisle and get the Great American Outdoors Act signed into law will provide access to public lands for generations to come. Thanks to Senator Daines, Congress is finally getting the job done.
I'm Steve Daines and I approve this message.
You're watching KRTV, Montana's news leader. From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Welcome back to the 10 o'clock news. Well, the first day of school in Great Falls is just a week away. And today, the Great Falls Public Schools Board of Trustees called a special meeting to consider the budget for the upcoming school year. MTN's Zach Shermley was there.
School boards in Montana are required to meet and finalize their budgets by no later than August 20th every year. GFPS Board of Trustees just making the deadline, voting to consider a budget to fund a year unlike any other. Initial projections put the budget at over $70 million, but the final number will be released next Monday when the board officially adopts the measure. Nationwide, most U.S. school districts get an average of 47% of funding from the state, about 45% locally, and only about 8 to 10% from the federal government, according to the National Center for Education Statistics. In Great Falls, about half of the money in the district comes from the state, with over a third coming from the district and county, about 50% of money in the general fund going toward instruction.
For me as business manager, there are moving parts from year to year.
Late February was when Patrick first presented the budget, but that was before the pandemic hit and forced most schools to pivot to online learning. Patrick says one big change this year has been the role of federal funding.
Those dollars are really what we need and are using to address things like our Jumpstart program that we did at the elementary school before school started this year, and as well as all the PPE and safety precautions that we're taking.
The district receiving $2.38 million in CARES Act funding from the federal government in March, but that wasn't all the help it got.
We got an additional allocation of funds from the governor, state money that he had jurisdiction over, and he allocated another $4.9 million to our school district. It's been an absolute necessity for us to have those kinds of funds so that we can start school.
Moore says a number of factors have complicated the budget this year.
Some of the challenges had to do with the protested taxes from Calumet, and that was a complicating variable in the already complicated equation of school budgeting. So Mr. Patrick's done a great job.
In Great Falls, Zach Shermley, MTN News.
Well, about 1,600 Great Falls students have opted for the remote learning option when the school year begins next week. And when the virtual bell rings, the district will be ready. As MTN's Tim McGonigal reports, the new Center for Online Learning is an old standby.
When students left Roosevelt Elementary School as the pandemic made its way to Montana, it was thought by many that this historic building was done. But during uncertain times, there's a new purpose for this old building. From training teachers to stocking PPE, the Great Falls School District has been busy getting Roosevelt COVID-19 ready. The school will be home to the district's remote learning operations for the upcoming school year.
It's just great old historic building that we really all appreciate the historical value of it. And we are so glad that we're able to all be in one place to offer these services to students.
I think Roosevelt is the perfect place for us to house these programs. We won't have a lot of students in our building, but we will have a lot of teachers, and I think this building in particular will meet our needs for that.
While the classrooms will be mostly empty, the building will be buzzing with new ideas from a faculty made up of current district teachers and some additional instructors who've been hired thanks to COVID relief funds from the state and federal government. Curriculum will be provided through programs including Moodle, Google Classroom, and other technology. Organizers say the model will be more responsive to parents and students, and a big difference between this year and last spring will be teacher presence.
Teachers will have a couple hours each day for office hours where they are literally sitting in a Zoom meeting by themselves, and students can actually click a link and join them to ask questions and get in-person help from their teachers.
Quinn says content will also be delivered by pre-recorded video, and teachers will conduct weekly virtual meetings with students. Cutler says families will be counted on to make the model work.
It will require parents to be really pretty supportive of them at home. Their parents are kind of the first line of help for students when they need it.
Quinn has been involved with Montana's Digital Academy for about a decade. She believes the flexibility of online learning can extend beyond the pandemic.
Not only have we gone to remote learning to address COVID, but in some cases we're looking at remote learning as a way that students can get more of the courses that they want.
In Great Falls, Tim McGonigal, MTN News.
Thanks, Tim. And Roosevelt students left 2 years ago to attend the new Giant Springs Elementary. Up until the pandemic, the school housed Longfellow students while their new school was being built. An update now to a horrible incident that happened near Whitefish in early November when a 6-year-old girl was struck by a vehicle after getting off her school bus. Jordana Hubble suffered severe head injuries in the accident and has spent the last 7 months in a coma emergence program in Houston, Texas as part of her recovery. Her family has shared her progress with us through Facebook videos. Today, Jordana, who is now 7 years old, received the okay from doctors to return home to Olney for the first time since she was hurt. It will be an especially emotional homecoming for Jordana's dad, Cody. He hasn't seen his daughter in person since she left for Houston back in January. Cody's been out of work since the accident, taking care of Jordana's 2 siblings, while his wife Veronica stayed with Jordana in Houston. MTN's Sean Wells sat down with him to learn how this tragedy has impacted their family and what comes next in Jordana's recovery.
Here in Olney near mile marker 137 is where Jordana Hubble was struck by a vehicle after exiting a school bus. 9 months later, she's finally coming home.
I want to see my daughter and see how much better I can make her life from the way it is now to the way that it was, the way that she wanted it.
Jordana's father, Cody Hubble, is still picking up the pieces, trying to come to terms with what took place that afternoon in early November, forever changing his family. Cody was across the street waiting for his daughter when she got off the school bus.
Dropping her off right there at the driveway, and yeah, and then a few seconds later, she was a pile of herself in the ditch. The one time I, couldn't protect her, frickin' wasn't much I could do. There was nothing I could do, frickin'. Yeah.
Court documents state that Jordana was thrown approximately 60 feet from the point of impact to where she came to rest in the ditch. Patricia Berliner pleaded not guilty to a charge of felony criminal endangerment with a jury trial set for November 30th.
Nothing would really change the outcome of the way things are now. I think it should stay on her record, and that's for sure. And I think, there should be a punishment enough to make people, want to pay attention and not just let off the gas and blow through stop signs.
That was great. I am so proud of you girls. You are wonderful.
Cody says Jordana's progress has been amazing since she's been in Houston and will continue her rehabilitation in Whitefish. At this time, Cody says Jordana is still not able to talk, walk, or eat on her own. He hopes the comforts of being home around family gives Jordana confidence in the days, months, and years to come.
It's going to be a challenge for her the rest of her life and for us too. And I'm sure at some point she may get back out of diapers again, but that might be a while.
In Olney, Sean Wells, MTN News.
And stick around, your full forecast is next.
Get breaking news alerts and continuous coverage of Montana. Download your free KRTV News app from Google Play or the App Store.
Brought to you by Culligan. Steve Bullock's Coronavirus Relief Task Force, stacked with high-value donors who stand to benefit, holding closed-door meetings that likely violated Montana law. Just 13% of Montana's coronavirus relief funds had reached small businesses and towns. Meanwhile, Bullock sat on hundreds of millions in urgent aid, even as COVID cases in Montana surge. We need leadership. Steve Bullock just keeps playing politics. Senate Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
At Bullhook Community Health Center, we see our patients a little differently because we believe in whole person care. Our team provides a wide range of services from medical and dental care to substance use disorder and mental health counseling, as well as pharmacy services. We proudly offer an internal medicine and pediatric medical doctor, along with a physician assistant and a family nurse practitioner. No matter what care you need, we not only provide it, but our whole team works together for your total integrated health. Bullhook Community Health Center, here for all of you.
In Montana, there are heroes. Healthcare workers, first responders, educators. When times are tough, they step up. But Greg Gianforte doesn't understand Montana. When our schools need support like never before, he voted no to additional resources that help make them safe. And in the face of a healthcare crisis, Gianforte voted against allowing our first responders to answer the call when we need it most. Call Greg Gianforte and tell him that's not how we do things here in Montana.
The Washington playbook says I shouldn't tell you I voted for Reagan when I'm running as a Democrat. That I can't be a proud gun owner and support background checks on gun sales. Pull!
They say I talk too much about working with people of all political stripes in Helena to reduce taxes. Well, I don't care what Washington thinks.
In Montana, we do things our way.
That's right.
And I bet they think I shouldn't have a beer in my ad either. I'm Kathleen Williams, and I approve this message.
Imagine if every Montanan had one reason for using their seatbelt. Just one reason why they buckle up every time. Imagine no one dies in a car crash. Imagine the people saved by their one reason. What's your one reason to buckle up and drive safely? Help reach the vision of 0 deaths and 0 serious injuries on Montana roadways. Always buckle up.
You're watching KRTV, Montana's news leader.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenens.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I wanted to share with you an image, a satellite image of the smoke that is blowing in from California. Here's Montana, and you can see the textured image right there, the textured white. That was a thunderstorm line that moved through earlier, but all of this right here is all wildfire smoke. You can see some of the big fires into Northern California. I mean, that is just a tremendous amount of smoke headed towards the east-northeast, and a few big fires into Oregon here. Some of those likely contributing to some smoke into our big sky here, maybe for the foreseeable future. But cleared out nicely around the Helena area. 76, Great Falls. 65 lovely degrees after that front came through. 71 in Havre, 60 degrees in Lewistown right now. Yeah, a little cooler air behind this line of thunderstorms that again has become severe into the northeast part of the state. Look at all of the lightning strikes, thousands and thousands of lightning strikes, and Glasgow receiving the worst of it. This line of storms will continue to work its way off towards the east. Now that line of storms is also bringing in some clearing into the northwestern and north central part of the state and pushing the really dense smoke down towards the south. A few of the fires, that Wood Lake fire west of Augusta and the Garnett fire into the Bob Marsh Wilders, not really showing any growth. Actually, those fires saw a little rainfall here recently. The Bear Creek fire down in the Beaverhead Mountains, that still is about 7,500 acres, not showing much in the way of growth recently. But see all those big fires into Northern California emitting that very, very thick smoke that will likely travel all the way across the country, make its way into the East Coast over the next few days. Now, switching from fires to the tropics, where I was showing this, well, say hello to Genevieve. Tropical storm Genevieve, winds of 65 miles per hour. Genevieve may actually send some moisture up the coast and into Montana by the time we get into early next week. Now the storms will move out here tonight into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, a mostly sunny day. The air quality will likely be worse the farther south you go in the state here. Saturday, there will be a dry front going through that will increase the wind, so the fire danger will be fairly high on Saturday. Notice no precipitation. Sunday, mostly sunny, a little breezy and hot with continued high fire danger. But Monday, a couple of thunderstorms moving in. Tuesday, Also, a few thunderstorms coming in, courtesy of Genevieve. Here is the forecast for tonight. Really in the clear as far as storms go, with the exception of far northeastern Montana. Lewistown, we're okay, and around the Helena area, we are okay as well. And here's the forecast for tomorrow. It's a drier day, a sunnier day, a warmer day, smoky again with a little breeze in the afternoon. Saturday, the wind picks up, the temperatures increase, the fire danger will increase. Heading into Sunday, more of the same, upper 80s, lower 90s, an afternoon breeze, 15 to 20 miles per hour. And then Monday, a couple of thunderstorms and continued breezy weather. Here's the 7-day forecast for Helena. So drier over the next few days. Watch that fire danger and tune in here because I'll be updating you on the air quality as the wildfires. Kind of tough to sense what they're doing off towards our south and west, but the southwest winds will likely deliver some smoke into our state here over the weekend. Watch those storms next week.
Still to come on the 10 o'clock news, from 1-point losses to COVID changes, we're taking you to Lewistown, where the Golden Eagles are more motivated than ever. Stay with us.
The Great Falls iCam is sponsored by U.S. Bank.
It's time to crack down on China. Senator Steve Daines is leading the fight. Daines supported the toughest U.S. tariffs against China in decades and even went to China to tell them that to their face. Now Daines is fighting to hold China accountable for its coronavirus lies and bring manufacturing jobs and medical supply chains home.
As more information comes to light on the deadly Chinese cover-up of this virus, we must hold China accountable to ensure this never happens again.
Tell Senator Daines, keep fighting to hold China accountable.
The best part of teaching these kids is seeing the spark in their eyes as they master the skills for a better job and a better life. So it's critical that Governor Bullock made record investments in our schools, expanded career training and apprenticeship programs, so people can earn while they learn, and boosted public-private partnerships to create more jobs, to grow our economy. Tell Governor Bullock to keep building on our progress during tough times.
What's behind that Steve Bullock smile? An ambitious governor who exploits Montana taxpayers, like the $14 million in state contracts paid to his brother's company, using state troopers as his personal security detail while abandoning his job to run for president. Bullock did find time to push for almost $300 million in new taxes and fees. Steve Bullock, helping himself, helping his family, hurting Montana. Think about that. NRC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Steve Bullock's Coronavirus Relief Task Force, stacked with high-value donors who stand to benefit, holding closed-door meetings that likely violated Montana law. Just 13% of Montana's coronavirus relief funds had reached small businesses and towns. Meanwhile, Bullock sat on hundreds of millions in urgent aid, even as COVID cases in Montana surge. We need leadership. Steve Bullock just keeps playing politics. Senate Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Make the most of summer with Ford, America's best-selling brand, during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Shop our huge lineup of SUVs and the largest selection of truck inventory to choose from. And get 0% APR financing for 72 months across the Ford lineup. The Ford Summer Sales Event, helping you make the most out of summer. For a limited time, get 0 for 72 months across the Ford lineup. Only at your local Montana Ford dealer.
You're watching KRTV, Montana's news leader. From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
And welcome back to the 10 o'clock news. We continue our high school football season previews. MTN Sports was in Lewistown today, where the Golden Eagles are on a quest to make it 5 straight playoff appearances. For the last 2 years, the Eagles have suffered 1-point losses in the playoffs, and coming up short like that back-to-back each year isn't lost on these seniors. Lewistown barely got in last year, and it won't get any easier now that Class A has shrunk to just 8 postseason teams due to COVID-19. And in what promises to be a tough Eastern A division, top players say the Eagles will have to push.
Because we all realize that we're going to have to work way harder to get where we want to be. So I think everyone out here, even the underclassmen are out here trying to work hard on Scout D, getting all of us better. I think everyone's motivated by that, and we're trying to get as far as we can in the playoffs.
The Golden Eagles also expressed that they're grateful to be out practicing at all. There's no doubt the possibility of a disrupted season is at the back of their minds, but rather than a distraction, they said just brings more fuel to practice each day like it's their last. Well, get ready to paint the town this weekend because Arts Fest 2020 is about to begin. The Great Falls Business Improvement District coordinated the second annual Arts Festival in a COVID-friendly way this year that will involve not only artists, but art lovers as well. In addition to viewing works by professional artists, you can also put your mark on Great Falls by participating in any of the 3 activities: an artist-guided mural in front of Miss Linda's Dance Studio, chalk art in parking lots at 1st Avenue North between 6th and 7th, or spray painting animal tracks behind Dragonfly Dry Goods. BID Community Director Joan Radine explained why this year's Arts Fest is more community-orientated.
The goal with Arts Fest all along has been to grow it a little bit each year, and so this is this year's growth, and hopefully we'll see new additions to it for next year as well. If this year proves to be successful and the community likes it, comes down and participates, then we'll keep doing these things and adding to them.
Arts Fest begins tomorrow afternoon and will continue through the weekend. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Celebrate unbelievable Labor Day savings at Conlins. Save 25% on all white tagged items throughout the store. Save 30% on all blue tagged items, or save 35% on all red tagged items. Hurry into Conlins for huge Labor Day savings.
The coronavirus has taken a toll on Montana's economy. We'll get through this crisis together, but it'll take strong leadership, and state government will need to adapt and innovate. I've spent 30 years in business balancing budgets and creating jobs. As your governor, I'll focus on strengthening small businesses, rebuilding our economy, and protecting our way of life. I'm Greg Gianforte, and I'm ready to lead Montana's comeback.
Greg Gianforte is the proven job creator.
Each year in Montana, more than 100 people are killed in crashes involving an impaired driver, and over 350 are seriously injured. That's 450 reasons to drive sober. What's your reason for planning a sober ride? Drive sober or get pulled over. A message from the Montana Department of Transportation.
I'm Caroline Bullock.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Cam. Our dad likes to talk about us.
This time, we're gonna talk about him. They're teenagers. What could go wrong?
My dad loves Montana. It's where he grew up. He was raised in a single-parent household and met our mom, Lisa, at the same school we go to.
Go Bengals!
I love fishing with him. I love running with my dad.
He was by my side when I got my first buck.
We'll be hiking, and he'll always be like, and you know what's great?
Every one of us
owns these public lands. I'm really proud of the work that he's done for our education system.
He's been fighting against secret money in politics since before I was born.
Practically since he was born.
I love teasing him. When he's talking, he's like this.
He does not know how to whisper.
This is Steve, boy.
Hope they don't bring up the dancing.
He may not be a great dancer,
but he is a great dad. He's doing the best job that he can for my generation and for the generations to come. And if you want to know what kind of senator he'll be, just look at what he's done as governor.
I'm Steve Bullock, and you bet I approve this message.
Celebrate unbelievable Labor Day savings at Conlins. Save 25%, 30%, or 35% off on items throughout the store. Plus, ask about available 60-month special financing. Hurry into Conlins' huge Labor Day sale.
That's all the time we have tonight at 10. For the latest weather updates, be sure to download a free Storm Tracker weather app on Google Play or the Apple iTunes Store. Thanks so much for watching tonight, and be safe.